Hi folks. Move that down a bit. Okay, we are back. We are going to do some more programming. So last night was a bit of a... I'm going to use the word cock up, but I guess we got the jobs done. They turned out to be a lot harder than we started out expecting. Excuse me while I make a tea. But we got them done. So two simple jobs to start off with, and yeah, we only got the simple jobs done. Like I said, I'm not bitter, not at all. So anyway, tonight we've got a couple of other things to look after. We have got. So I decided that I'm going to add a third block. So we've got two blocks at the moment used for the two different types of tile that are used in the clock. But there's actually a third type actually used that we currently default to air. And I thought I'd make that configurable so that you can have a flat clock if you want to without the indents. Just mostly because I don't like constants. So that's an easy one. We'll do that first. There I'm going saying it's an easy one. Then the next thing is really one of the big jobs left to do, which is the direction of the panels. So the panels can be facing any one of four directions. So we need to make sure that that's working, and I've got some ideas on how to do that. Matt's just there like, is it on? I can see it's on. It says it's on. Hopefully you can hear me. Hello! Someone's saying that I'm in a shirt, and you're right, I'm in a shirt. That's probably a fair guess, though. After that, persistence. Saving the times and the clocks and back up again. When the sign is destroyed, deleting clock. That shouldn't be too bad. Group permissions. Actually, accessing the iMidnight. You probably need to turn your mute off. You've got an Eclipse keyboard that programs things for you. Marilyn can hear. Excellent. Excellent. Group permissions. So, want to make it to where when you make a clock, you can say only this group of people can update that clock, which might just be you. It might be a group of people. And then I want to also make it to where if you change the blocks, you can do a thing which makes it reload. So that while it's ticking away, it can magically change the blocks. So you don't have to delete it and reset it. And then after we've done that, we'll look at some performance monitoring stuff. But I figure if I can get 1 to 6 done, we could try deploying it onto Down the Mineshaft server as a first cut and see how it goes. Right, so the first thing then is adding a third block. So in main, when we go to on sign, here it is on sign change, we pull these two locations in. So I'm going to pull in location. I don't know what. I think I must have reformatted this at some point. Sorry. Oh dear, oh dear. R.I.P. headphone users. Haven't sneezed all day. Turn the stream on. Boom. Curb Noob. I've programmed Java commercially for 10 years. I haven't written it in quite a while, but I used to use it all the time for British Telecom and all sorts of different things. Get Z plus 3. Right, so that'll get the third block in. Is an SSD better than HDD? In every possible way, yes. You absolutely do want to have an SSD. Is it possible to reprogram it? Do you mean move Train Sim or move a game? Yeah, you can set up a library on Steam and then just copy the game across. PC, well, there's no updates. It's on order. They were building it today, and we'll be hopefully testing it this weekend, doing the burn-in tests. And the next bit of news is when they call me and say it's shipped. You can expect it tomorrow, and then I will tell you it's shipped. Well, whether we get to do a stream in that night that it arrives, I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, right, so set foreground material, background material, and I'm going to do a set gap material, which is going to be lock 3. Right, I need to go and define that. Create method. Boom! I do like interfaces. There you go. Eclipse does all the work for you. It's ridiculous. Right, let's put that up there. When will I stream Train Sim next week? It'll be whenever I've got the machine set up. So, rest assured, I will be trying to stream it as soon as possible. Alright, private block data gap material. This is feeling like we're doing an awful lot of copying here. I'm wondering if I can create a base clock and pull it all out into base clock. Let's do that, shall we? Let's do a little bit of OO. Let's create an abstract clock. Can I build 5 PC in same night? What? I'm only getting 1 PC. What spec did I go for, Wilberforce? It is an 980 Ti graphics Skylake 6700K, 4 point something gigahertz by the time it's been overclocked. 16 gig of RAM, DDR4 3 gigahertz RAM, a 32 gigabit per second SSD, one of the fast ones. So yeah, it's a pretty roaringly fast machine. So this is going to implement clock. Now, by implementing this, I need to actually implement some methods. Now, this is an abstract class, so I need to declare it as such. So I don't need get time to show, I don't need initialize. But things like all this bottom left, for material, back material, gap material, all that's nonsense that I can just do once and not have to keep doing all the time. Whenever you're repeating code, it just gets really ugly. Really, really, really ugly. So I'm going to put all that stuff out of there and put it into there. And then I need the implementations for set bottom left. Without changing quality. No, there's no tricks to get more FPS without changing the quality. Not that I can think of, anyway. It'd be down to what you're actually doing. If you've upgraded graphics card, then I firmly recommend completely uninstalling your NVIDIA drivers and reinstalling them again. I've heard a number of people that have upgraded video cards said it's no different, and when they've reinstalled their graphics card and all their drivers, it's actually made a world of difference. It's not something I've tried myself, but I thought I'd pass on the feedback. Those that I've heard of that have done it have said it made their lives a lot better. A 950 is going to be a similar power range to a 750. It's got newer technology, but Train Sim probably won't take advantage of that newer technology. So you might not get a lot more frame rate out of a 950 over a 750. If it was like a 960 over a 750, you would, or a 760 over a 750, or even, ironically, a 660 over a 750. The 660 would outperform it, if you could figure that out. And call that material data so that these are consistent. Right, so that's got all of that stuff in the base class, and then I'm going to extend abstract clock. So now this extends abstract clock. So this has now got some stuff in it, and I can get rid of these. Now what I do need to do is provide getters, protected, block data, get for material, return for material. I think it's protected anyway. Block data, get back material, return back material, and block data. Oops. Get gap material. Return gap. I could just make the variables public, but protected. But I make the variable. Yeah, I'm going to make the variables protected. This is inside the same class. This is not crossing an interface boundary, so I guess I don't feel quite so precious about protecting my variables. Right, so you now have access to all these things. So clock is now fixed, even though we got rid of code instead of fixing it. That's what we like to see, which means in theory I can just say extends abstract clock, and I can get rid of code. I just love it when the solution to a problem is deleting code. Well, depends really. That's that one fixed. Abstract clock. Get rid of those. Get rid of those. Right. Good. That's got. I'll come back and there's all these little yellow. I don't know if you can even see these little yellow triangles. They're all warnings because, for example, this variable start time is not used, and I don't care at the moment. We'll come back and clear up warnings when we get to a cleanup phase. Right, so we're back to building. We've got the back material. What's going to happen now is time updater. I now need to pass it the gap material. Which it will complain about for the time being, but that's okay. What's the better programming language that would get you a job in games? In games, C++ or C#. C# almost exclusively with the Unity graphics engine, and C++ for just about everything else. So Unreal 4 is done in C++. So Kubernetes, am I using Forge API? No, this is a bukkit plugin. So this is all bukkit API. This is server only. Right, let's create time updater gap material. I do like not having to just create all this rubbish where you have to remember the names, returns, and all the rest of it. You click use the little helpers and it will do it all for you, which is very cool. Let's put this with the other ones of its kin. Kin similar. Material. I'm going to change the name of that so that it matches the format. And you need to have you really don't know how to script, even though you can. I tell you what, don't be afraid to give it a try. What I would recommend is C# is a really good language to start learning. Visual Studio Express is free. Download Visual Studio Express, and you should be able to start looking through some tutorials and just learn some simple stuff. Because the visual programming side of Visual Studio Express is actually like where you can. It's like Visual Basic, except it's a far more advanced language. It's a sensible programming language. Controversial. Why does Eclipse look like Windows XP? It's a Java application. They all look a bit dated, to be honest. It's just I'm a bit skeptical. I don't particularly. I'm not a massive fan of Java anymore. C# is my language of choice, but I can't write Minecraft plugins in C# without going through some really unpleasant hoops. So I'm swallowing it and just dealing with it and getting on with it. So passing gap material into time renderer. So let's go to time renderer, go to declaration, which goes into here. Block data, gap material. Render digit now needs the gap material passing in. I think that's all of it. Now render digit needs fixing. Almost feels like they should be going to a central place and then pulling it back, but it's too late for that now. Lock data material 3. I love my naming. My naming rocks. Material 3. Material 3. Material 3. Material 3. Are we there yet? No, we closed the class down. Open declaration. Right. What's the IP for the DTM mumble? You should just be able to... Hopefully, I've just put the command up there which gives you all the information. Yeah, ASP.NET is very good as well, Wilberforce. ASP.NET is frankly really, really good. Much like so the things you can do with it. The entire of the .NET framework is amazing. I mean, that's the .NET framework is a good chunk of what is great about .NET because it's so feature rich. Whereas Java, it tends to be an awful lot of download this library, do this, do that. C#, it's just uses blah. Or you tick a reference in the build. They've just really streamlined it. It's lovely. Right, now instead of being block data.area, it's material 3. Now I'm going to annoy everybody now and do this without doing search and replace. Oh dear. The anti-MS crowd will hate you for that. Yeah, I know. Like VB made server manager for a Steam game. Thought Baby Lounge is going to help me that much. No, you want to move... Well, VB.NET is much better than VB6, for example. It's much more real. I mean, it's all based on the .NET framework, CLR. But I would strongly recommend you push up. If you've got VB.NET, then C# is not going to be a big haul for you. It really isn't. Yeah, Oracle and SQL are good. I've done some SQL Server. Used to use Oracle a lot. My last, not my last place. That was SQL Server, but the time before, 2 times before that, because BT was all Oracle. All of UK Train Sim is built on MySQL, which is excellent piece of software actually. That's owned by Oracle now as well, of course. What we'll do is we'll do this, we'll run it and make sure this is working, and then we'll get on with the direction change. Right, everything is happy. Let us run install. Let's try that again. This time do it with feeling. Yes. Right, so I've updated my run.bat now so that I run it and it does all of the copying of the plugin for me and runs the server, so I don't have to do all that rubbish. You pulled your ancient C++ book out the shelving system. Yeah, the other Amarillo and Visual Studio Express for C++ is free as well. So that's a nice way of getting into C++. Visual Studio is a really top-notch IDE now. Get on with it. Alright, need to restart the server. Of course, the problem now is that my badge file always expects to have a new one. Did a lot of web dev. Yeah, I've done quite a lot of web dev in C#. I actually rewrote the entire of the UK Train Sim website using ASP.NET, and I've just never finished it. It's mostly there. It's really annoying. Right, let's try connecting again. Why will it not let me? Oh, maybe I need to restart this bit. That might be an idea. Hi, the owner of UKTS. I used to. Well, yes, I'm technically the owner of it. I don't run it anymore because I work for Dovetail Games, and that wouldn't make any sense at all. But I do. I wrote all of it. I ran it for about 10 years before I moved over to Dovetail. Oh yes, we're getting logged in now. Now, if we have white, and we have yellow, and stone. Right, let's see what that does. That should give me a flat numbers, with white and stone. So clock, Todd, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, go. Ah, not quite what I was looking for. Possibly because there was already a clock there. There you go, that's cleaned it up. So I need to layer on the bit to the front. Oh, I know why. It's because we've shifted over one from where we were putting the clock previously. Right. But that's basically working. Except that I need to do a layer of gap block on the front when I set the thing up. Okay, let's do that. I'm just about done with that job. So in Time Renderer I do a render base. I need to do 2 lots of this, where I do also one at Z, which is based on gap material. Having broke that, what broke Time Renderer did. Where is it? Oh, because I put the wrong thing in there. Try that. You try to close a browser tab and instead press Alt F4. Nice. Right, time updater calls render base, needs to include gap material in the render base. And we're good to go. Let's try that. Can't wait for this new computer. Ah! Oh, don't feel bad, laptop. You've done me well, and you're still going to. Run that. By the way, has anyone here got a Gear VR? Has anyone tried the new Gear VR Minecraft? I was playing it earlier on. It's really good fun. I mean, it's still fundamentally exactly the craft, but VR Minecraft is epic. They've done a really good job of bringing it as well. Looking forward to what the PC version looks like. What it is unfortunate though is that the PC version will be based on the Windows 10 Minecraft, not on the Minecraft, the traditional Minecraft. There you go. And then over here, because the third block is, if I was to make the, of course you can't make the first block air. That's a challenge. Oh yes you could. Oh yes you could. I've no idea what I just threw away. I just threw away signs. Don't throw away signs. Thank you. So if I was to get rid of that, and then place stone there, put the sign there. I don't want the sign just yet, I need the rest of it first. So we're going to have lapis as the colour, no, we're going to have nothing as the colour of the digits. Hang on a minute. How do I get the colour? I get the colour from the... Do I get it from the one behind? Or the same one as the sign is on? It is the one behind. So this should work. So let's have pink and green, because that's nice. So if I have nothing here, just put a couple here to work on. I have pink there, sorry, green there, and pink there. If I put the sign here, clock, countdown, Fred, 1, 2, 3. Interesting. Yellow. Where's the yellow come from then? Oh, it crashed. Reading through the log to find out why it blew up. Null pointer exception. Set block time renderer.java line 25, which means that lock1.getBlock.getState presumably return null. Rizzle TV Efficient. Yeah, fire away. Send us a link and we'll have a look. So because it's air, I think that the state came back as null. I think you might try and drag your nephew into DTM server tomorrow when he visits. Used to build all sorts of wonderful gadgetry in Minecraft. Not sure I'll ever actually use survival mode. Oh, hang on a second. Try that again, Rise. Programmer simulator, yeah. So what I need to do, I think, is if I come into block data, which is going to come with a block state, and then that's going to pull those out. I kind of want to say... Let's have a look at this forum post. Put it over here so we can everyone can see it. I don't even know what blocktable.obj is. Oh, are you doing a client plugin? I'm probably not the right person to help. I've got no idea about client plugins. Dave, you want Twains? Well, Twains will be next week. Yeah, sorry I can't help you guys. Hopefully maybe someone on the chat can, but we'll see. So what is set block doing? Time renderer line 25 is what needs to be protected. So block data is null. Or the get material is null. Is there an evening star for TS 2016? There was, from he who shall not be named, but there was a there isn't one on Steam at the moment. I keep asking though, saying we should have an evening star. It's my favourite train, therefore make it. It doesn't seem to work. Hey James. So let's go to the block data constructor and let's find out what happened in here. If material data equals null, then this doesn't have access to the plugin, so I can't do that. Bukkit.get plugin. Okay. Info. I didn't realise I had static access to that. Awesome. Info, no material data. If material is null, get logger.info, no material type info. Right, so we'll see whether or not we get, if this is what's coming up null, then I can fix that by just hard coding it to return blockdata.air. Stop the server. Run it back up again. I'm so glad I updated the bat file to copy that in. That's much easier. One of those things that you think, oh, I'm not going to mess around doing that stuff. It really does save time. Is it up? Yeah, it's up. So, time set day. That way we can all see what we're doing. Clock, count. Let's just do a Todd. 1, 2, 3. There you go, look. Don't know quite why it didn't work before. But now it makes holes for the time. You know, just to be different. It's really interesting. I'm not quite sure why that didn't work before. Maybe Countdown is doing something different. Okay, let's try that then. Oh no, I can't with that. Let's shut the server down and restart it so that the clock's not working. Need to remake that so that it doesn't blow up when I try and run it. Hi Whitemead, yeah, PC's nearly sorted. I'm hoping midway next week it should arrive, and then mid to late next week it's stream time! By the way, one of the scenarios, I don't know if you guys have tried the scenario with the BR648 yet. Incidentally, I love that BR648, I think it's awesome. The hardest scenario that it comes with, it's a 1 hour scenario. 996 points, no PZB fails, and it's quite a tough scenario as well. It's really enjoyed that scenario. So if you haven't tried it yet and you do have the 648, do it! Wounded Marine, next week is more Train Sim. I'm just waiting for my new computer to arrive. This one can't play Train Sim, and the one I was normally using is not working. It's dead. So let's put clock. Now we were putting countdown Fred 123 when we tested it last time. Ah, so it is something to do with time renderer.java line 25 exploded with a null pointer exception. Let me have a look what you pasted me there, Amarillo. Look. Oh, set does it and start does it when there is no set on a stopwatch. Okay. Cool. So countdown clock. This may not even be the same problem. This may actually be a different problem. Countdown. Start time updater is not doing set gap material. That's why. Which means that stopwatch presumably has the same baguette. No. Countdown clock. Oh, set does it and start does it when there is no set on a stopwatch. Okay. Cool. White meat, that system, 2.5k including VAT. But that includes a bunch of upgrades like accelerated build to get it here faster and other stuff. Right, okay, now the clock should work. So actually it wasn't the... what I'm going to do is under block data, I'm going to get rid of these because they're not the problem. That bit that I did is working beautifully. Doing alright the weekend, hopefully. You can build a PC in an hour. Ah, but you should take your time over it, enjoy it, savor the process. When I used to build my own machines, I used to really enjoy constructing it, taking my time, sorting all the cables out, really make a total meal of it, annoy my wife. Right, quick test, make sure this is working, and then we move on to task 2. ES64, it's a desktop PC. It is a 980 Ti with a Skylake 6700K overclocked. I have to stress test it. Yeah, I will stress test it. Right, clock, countdown, Fred 123. Right. We even had us a wee bang. So if I do clock countdown set 00:35, probably should tell it which clock to set. There you go. And clock countdown start Fred. We have some log spam to get rid of. Let's do that in a minute. Right, there you go. So that's the countdown timer. So now we can do 3 types of block, which means we can create all sorts of different sort of looking clocks now. Let's go into the clock and just clear up that bit of log spam that was in the countdown clock. Alright, I'll just comment it out. Bukkit.broadcast message. And what I am going to say, countdown timer. Oh, I don't have the name yet, do I? What creates a countdown clock? Main does. Will the new PC handle one of Darkness Monster scenarios? Well, if it doesn't, it's going back. So clock ID is here, and what I want to do is when I create a clock, I want to pass the clock ID in. Clock ID, that way clocks know who they are. So stopwatch clock. That one, I don't particularly want to use it in stopwatch. It's countdown I really want it in, but feels like they should all have it. Stress test 24-hour stream. We'll get another one of those in November. Clock ID, I should probably define it. Clock ID, right, that's defined it in there, and Todd clock is the last one. Private string clock ID, string clock ID, and clock ID is clock ID. Right, that's got them done. It'd be unable to mod Minecraft now. Minecraft is just integer out of range trying to calculate FPS. Dave, well, you can find out. It'll be the Children in Need week weekend. So for Friday 1 o'clock through Saturday 1 o'clock on the Children in Need weekend. So 24-hour streams a stress test for the stream. Certainly is. That stray cat has been sorted. It's gone into a rescue home, which means I can now open the door anytime I like to let in fresh air. That was the main thing that sent me to sleep last time, or was threatening to anyway. The problem with lots of cores, Curb Noob, is that most software these days is still not really written to take advantage of multi-threading. Particularly games are really bad at using multi-threading, and therefore having multiple cores, even like the 6 and 8 core CPUs that are out at the moment, you just don't really feel the benefit of them. Which is why a higher clock rate gives you a better benefit than a higher number of cores. Business software, like they tend to be much more multi-threaded, which is why multi-physical processor systems have been around for ages in business environments. But that's because business software will use it. So I'm hoping that games at some point will take more advantage of it. But it's very tricky. Multi-threaded software engineering is really difficult. Hey, welcome back, Wounded Marine. Whitemead, Rocket League new update, basketball. Oh, I have to give that a try. That sounds good. So, countdown timer. Put the remaining in there, and that should be underscore clock ID. Now, when the countdown timer goes off, it will actually say who it is. So, if you've got multiple timers, you know which one it is. Alright, let's give that a quick test, and then we'll move on to job 2. Even though that was sort of a job 1.5. Make Train Simulator 64-bit. Yeah, it's not as easy as it sounds. Yeah, I've seen the details on it, Whitemead, but I hadn't actually looked at it yet. Right, let's run the server up. It lasted the whole 24 hours but didn't have window open. But it did have the window open, yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't got a window I can open in here. Any of your PC builds water-cooled yet? The new one is water-cooled. It's got quite a high-end Corsair hydro cooler. Right, so server is up. And it was a countdown timer I wanted to test. Let's just put a... we've got green, let's stick a yellow in there. And put a sign on there. Clock. Countdown. Fred. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There you go. So now we've got a flat clock, like the other side. Slash clock. Countdown set Fred to 00:15 slash clock countdown start Fred. There you go, and we got countdown timer Fred, so it was announcing itself correctly, which is good. Super! Super, super, super. Right, okay, time for job 2. This is where it starts being a bit more usable. So what I need to be able to... This is quite a large refactor. And for those that aren't familiar with the term refactor, that's where you basically change a whole bunch of stuff and do it a different way. And I've already had a look at how I'm going to do some of this, so I'm going to write it, but I've got some crib notes that I made earlier on, just in case that I was going to fall down a hole. And it turns out I would have fallen down a hole because the information I was using was incomplete. Did you make the code public when it's ready, or is it personal coding for your server? This is going to go up onto Bukkit and Curse and so forth, this plugin. I don't know if it'll be open source yet, but certainly it'll be, the plugin will be publicly available. So, yes, it will be available for anyone to use on your own servers, if you want to. I've already got that cleared with the powers that be. Doesn't really interfere with anything we're doing at work. Do I do anything for the military? No. No, I've dealt with the financial sector. I think, have I done anything with the military in the past? Done government. Don't think military has ever been anything I've ever dealt with. I do video games now. Cheers, see you later, Whitemead. Right, so what we need to do now is start with the digit renderer and work our way out, I think. So I need to change how these are rendered. So if we look at this render 9, let's look at render 0. It's the first one we started with before. If we look at render 0, this is all specifically hard coded so that it does it at x, y, z. Can we get rid of that? Get x, y, z, and then x minus 1, and then x minus 2, and then goes back to x and goes up 1, and then x minus 1. So it does this. Yeah, and it's all built on it doing x minus 1, which is what makes it go in a particular direction. Oh, on train sim, do I do military? I don't know. I don't know what you mean. I run some of the... Do you realise we can rewatch the stream, freeze the streams, and copy the code? You're more than welcome to, Kerbnu. I might make it available, but to be honest, at this point, I've never dealt with GitHub and things like that, so I don't even have a clue how. So I might do it at some point. But I thought first thing I'd do is make the plugin available. Q4. Right, so anyway, this is working on based on x minus 1. If you then go back to the time renderer, when it calls the digit renderer, here, it's always doing x minus equal 4. So every time it does a digit, it does that, and then it jumps back a bit and does that, and back a bit and does that. So it's always going minus 1. Oh, you mean the Q1 Amarillan? Yes, that had military stuff in it. There's some military stuff that came with Sherman Hill as well. There's not a lot of military stuff in the game, but there is some, and I've run all of it pretty much. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is change how these renderers work, because otherwise what I'm going to end up with is I've got to do these things in 4 ways. I've either got to render it one way, or turn it around and render it this way, or turn it around and render it facing the other way. And the really rubbish way of doing it is to copy paste that block and just keep updating all the codes, so that in here it has 4 big blocks of things to define it. That's a real nightmare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define the digits in terms of what they look like, and then we'll have a renderer for a set of for that definition. So I'm going to create a digit. ES64, you'll have to drop a message over to Dovetail about previews. It's not something I can talk about, I'm afraid. Just checking you got hurt when you're over in Iraq 2004. Oh wow! I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you for your service. Right, so int digit is new int. So what I'm going to do here is define which material I want it to use. Now, material 1, you'll notice, is the one we're using for where the digit is. So 1, 1, 1. Now this is going to look quite familiar when you see it, if I can convince the curly bracket to go where I want it to go. That's because I'm going to need that in there. 1, 0, 1. I need a few of those actually. Does that look like a 0 to you? If you trace the ones, pretty cool, huh? Except it's actually material 3 that I want to use in the gap, not material. There's no material 0. That's just silly. Everyone has copyrights on their own work, Curb Noob, but to be honest, I'm not doing this because I want to copyright it and keep it to myself. I'm doing it because I'm interested, and I get lots of help from other people in the Minecraft community, so I certainly want to share. We're using a lot of other people's plugins, so it feels right and proper that I give back. Right, so that is our digit 0. So if all the digits were defined like that, essentially what I can do now, I can I can now render that in different directions, and that's all the data I need. And essentially, that all the data, I've got all the data encapsulated in here, and all the rendering stuff encapsulated. All this, it was now going to do this, which seems like a lot less code, but it's going to get a lot bigger in a minute. Up here, I'm going to put block facing here. Block facing is like a compass. It's like north, south, east, west. Which is all of this data up here. We're going to pass in the coordinates for the base of it. We're going to pass in materials. And we're going to pass in the facing direction. And then I'm going to comment this lot out. Probably pressed the wrong button. There you go. Right, so instead of doing all this, it was now going to do this, which seems like a lot less code, but it's going to get a lot bigger in a minute. Up here, I'm going to put block facing here. Block facing is like a compass. It's like north, south, east, west. And we do need to define that. Let's get that in. Oh, it's block face, of course it is. Which is there. Good. Right, so now I need to write this render function. This is quite a beast of a function. So private void render. I'm glad you're enjoying the coding streams, Chris. I might do some even when I've got Train Sim back, just to do some other things, because there's other plugins I want to do. So right, int digits. The square brackets are for defining an array, which is a list of stuff. And then I want to do... Oh, it's digit, not digits. The coordinates, int x, int y, int z. I'd like to see more Lua in TS, or maybe I'll do some Lua coding and I'll put them down as coding streams so that people who want to see Train Sim don't suddenly find a load of code on the screen blasting them to pieces, because I think it boggles people's minds when they see that, because it's such a different thing to what they're actually expecting when they came here for trains and all they saw was all this coding stuff going on. So what I might do is do the Lua scripting ones as a different, on a different night or a different time. Is there a plugin to make Matt stop at Nebworth? Don't be silly, Dave. Of course there isn't. Don't be silly. Right, now we've got the data. Now we need to get a bit clever, and we need to actually render it in the right place, in the right direction. So I'm going to keep a copy of the coordinates. And I'm going to... what we need to do is iterate over the data in the digit. And let me just put this in, and then I can tell you what it does. So this is going to iterate down, essentially, down these three, then these three, then these three, then these three, and then these three. So that's all done by dy. It's not data.length. Let's change that to data. Okay, and then inside here I want to then iterate across it, so that'll be the x. So for int dy, dx is 0, dx less than data, row y dot length. What this means, incidentally, is it means that potentially I could make the digits bigger or smaller. And dx plus plus. So this is a for loop. So what this does is it says for dy starting at 0 until it gets to data.length, do something and then increment it. So it'll do, like if its length is in this case 5, it'll do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and stop, because on the fifth, when it gets to 5, it's then greater than data.length. Sorry, it's not less than greater than data.length. It's equal to. Could you use any block in Minecraft PC like a clock made of lamps? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can make a clock maker made of anything. We'll try that in a minute. Actually, try it out. But in theory, it pulls the block and the subtype data down, and just will use it. So you could put torches in the gaps, or you could put glowstones in, or could do anything really. If you were to make the back row redstone blocks and the front row redstone lamps, for example, then they'd all light up as well. But we'll have a look at that in a minute. So the next thing I want to do is look at the material in there and then do the right thing. So we're going to do a couple of things. The first thing is place the block at the coordinate we're looking at, and then figure out what the next coordinate is for this row, and then figure out what the next coordinate is for the column. So what we'll do is so if data dy dx, so that gets me one of these, so that would be 0 0 0 1 0 2, is so it's 1 2 or 3 are the valid answers. So 1, else if data dy dx is 2, else if data dy dx 3, else. That's where you're a dummy and you've done it wrong clause. In this one, we actually want a set block, so we do the set block, and it's based on current x, current y, current z, and it's material 1 we're going to place down. And then in here, place material 2, and in here, place material 3. So it's going to look at this and place material 1, place material 1, place material 1. And then in here I'm going to say bukkit.get logger.info. I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to leave that as it is, because that's just going to cause me problems. Spam the log, and there's nothing that anyone who can use this information can do about it. It means I've got it wrong. So, having done a block, we now need to work out the next row position. So we need to move it, and that depends on which way we're facing. So we put our switching, so which basically says, let's see what the value of have I named it facing? I haven't even included it as a parameter. Block facing. Right, now we'll be in a better shape. Right, so in here we now want to say, so the valid values are east, north, west, south, and default. So those are our valid values. There are actually other values that you can have, but we're only going to support those ones, because anything else we start getting into weird diagonals, and I'm just not even interested in supporting that right now. So for east, the one that we currently implement is facing north. And in implement north, if you remember rightly, x goes down, which is that. So that will mean that when we iterate round, x will keep going down. So I did some calculations earlier on, and east means current z goes down, west means current z goes up, and south means current x goes up. So that's going to find us the next row in any of the 4 compass directions. What I think I'll do is, if you pick any other one, we'll just do it north. So having done a row, which is this loop, when we finish this loop, so let's find the end curly bracket for that, the next thing we need to do is figure out what the next... We need to reset the row, and then we need to figure out what the next row looks like. What height is, what height is the next row at? And how do we reset it? What ones do we reset? So, which one we reset is going to depend very much on what we're doing. So in here, if it's east, we've been modifying z. So current z gets set back to z. Current x gets set back to X. Current Z gets set back to Z. Current X back to X. And current X back to X. Right. So that's got all of that stuff in. And then current Y plus plus. Because in all cases we go up. Right. So that's got a renderer in. So now I render a 0 like that, and I just have that bit of code in there, and that will render me a 0 in any compass direction I want it to, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead, copy this bit of code into render 1, and I'm going to, for the time being, get rid of, or just comment these out. We'll come back and get shot of them once we know that they are working correctly. Right, so a 1 is mostly... These are going to render all the numbers upside down, it just occurred to me. Have I had snow where we are? We haven't seen snow all winter. We haven't seen snow all winter. Right, I'm going to fix this in a minute. So this needs to be a 3, 1, 1, 1, 1. This 3... 3, 3, 3. Oops. Right, so that's what a 1 looks like. I'll come back and fix the render. At the moment is going through them top to bottom, but rendering them bottom to top, so they're going to come out all upside down at the moment. We'll fix that in a minute. I need to go and add facing to all of these parameters as well. So 2 is 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 1, 3. That's a 2. I presume you can all see why I'm setting the digits the way I am. Does it make sense? If you follow the 1s, you get the pattern of the digit. Render 3. So 3 is nothing there and 1 there. That gets me a 3. What are you doing? You're clearly drunk. Render 4. This will make it easier if we want to change the digits at some point as well, or even if I want to add additional fonts in for the digits further down the line. Not right now. That needs to be 3, that needs to be 3, so that gets me 4. Just going to press space on that now, I'm bored of that going all over the shop. 5. She just got you over 5901. Wow! That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Mrs. R. So, that needs to be a 1, 3, 1, 3. That's now a 5. Yay! Alright. So, render 6. 1, 3, 1. That looks sort of 6-y. Wow, that's awesome. Not really expecting anyone to donate to it anymore, to be honest. That's fantastic. 5901, which means put now at 118%. Right, so that is 6 in. We need to get 7 in now. So 7 is not a lot, 7 to be honest. That's kind of 7. Let's comment out the rubbish. Stubby UK. Any sign of the new PC arriving yet? Next week, midway next week. It's ordered. They're doing the burn-in testing this weekend, and they're looking to try and ship it Tuesday or Wednesday if all goes well. Tutus Master, question: Stream info. It says you have an SSD disk. Isn't the disk just optical disk and not SSD, or am I wrong? So the hard drive that I'm getting in the new machine, and indeed the one I'm using right now, to be honest, is an SSD. It's a solid-state memory disk. There's no optical disks for hard drives. They're either magnetic or they're solid-state, which is they're effectively like memory. The new machine's got a super fast SSD on it as well. Right, that's 8. Number 9 is that one. Right, that's all of them. So, what I now need to add is block facing needs to come in here. And facing needs to get added to all of these. Right, for some reason that looked like 2 spaces. SSD isn't really a disk, it's a solid state drive. It's not so much of a disk in that there isn't any spinning disks in it. So a hard disk drive does have spinning disks in it. An SSD is just memory. Right. Oh, and whatever you do, do not get a hybrid drive, an SSHD. Oh my word, I've got one on my machine at work and it's awful. As in really surprisingly slow. Some things it's really good at, and other things it's exceptionally bad at. So it's like when it wins better than a hard drive, but when it loses much worse than a hard drive, which is not good. Stubby SSD is good, but you'll often find you need a large standard hard drive too. Yeah, I mean, unless you go mega expensive, you're going to get an absolute maximum of a terabyte into SSD. If you get some of these new super fast ones, like the one I'm getting in my machine, even a 0.5 gigabyte one of those is quite expensive. And to be honest, you don't really need everything on your super fast disk. So what I've gone for in my new config is I've gone a 0.5 gig super fast SSD, and then I've got a 3 terabyte conventional disk as the secondary drive. So most of my stuff will go on there, but things like Train Sim, the things that really need to run extremely fast on the operating system, all go on the SSD, because fundamentally the machine is then a heck of a lot faster. Right, so we've just put the digit renderer in. It now contains the direction that we want to render. So when it comes down to render digit, we're telling it what direction to render, and then it's going to render them, of course, as long as I've not got bugs in the code. So time renderer is now broken because it's now not got the parameter in that we need to pass in. So render time needs to be given the block face. And then we need to... So if you remember rightly, the render time is rendering all the digits one after the other to create the whole time. So it needs to know which play to render it as well. So I want bukkit. Yeah, so now first thing I need to do is pass that into here. That'll get rid of the error, but then I have some more work to do. So that's got rid of all the errors, which means that now you might end up with them sort of in a fan type configuration or something daft, or back to front if you rendered it the other way around. You use your old hard drives through USB. I've got some of those plugged into. I've got a file server in the other room, and I've got a sort of a stack of them. That get a hard drive out of the machine. I'll buy a little caddy, chuck it on the server, and then I've just got arrays of little disks. It normally means I've normally just not got rid of all my old stuff on them. Okay, so the thing is, when I do this, I need to know what the next movement has got to be. So I want to do it eight times. So what I don't want to do is essentially it's going to look very similar to this bit of code here. So it's going to be like that, but I don't really want to do it 8 times because that's going to be a pain. So I want to do it once. So I'm going to do a private void Tudor's master, you're 14 years old in Portugal, you already know how to program in some language, so take a programming course for your last 3 years on school. Will you be able to work in game dev? It depends really what you do, but there's no reason why not. What I would do is, C# is a great way to get into certain things. It's a great way to learn the programming, and it all works with Unity, which is it's used an awful lot certainly by indies, and for prototyping in AAA studios. So what you can do is get yourself really strong with Unity and get a portfolio of games that you're building together. Even if you just make a bunch of simple ones, get familiar with the range of stuff that Unity can do. That will stand you in really good stead for getting into the games industry. And then what you probably want to do is also look at getting C++ experience, because hardcore gaming development, particularly in AAA studios, legacy or in-house engines, almost all going to be on C++. It's very rare you're going to find other platforms, unless you go Android mobile development, in which case it's probably all Java. But for PC game development, it's pretty much all C++ or C#, depending on the game engine that's being used. It's not a 100% rule, but I'd say that was the vast majority of them. I mean, the other game engine to get familiar with is Unreal Engine 4. That's a C++ engine, but it's also worth learning the blueprint system that's in there. So if you're looking at seriously at getting into game dev, then for your last 3 years at school, take your programming course, learn C#, learn Unity, learn C++, learn Unreal Engine 4, and if you've got all of that and a bit of portfolio of the stuff that little projects that you've made for yourself at the end of it, you should be in really, really good stead for offering yourself to potential employers. I'm just going to call this widget for the time being, because I'm not sure what it's going to take or what it's going to do. I'm going to think about this. So I want to pass in. So I want the block face. See you later, Amaran. Now, if I pass in the block face, in some cases I want the X to move. In some cases I can only return one thing. If you've been using Unity C#, then I would definitely expand on that and try and push yourself into first-person shooters or racing games. Try and make games. These games engines make it really easy to make games simply. They might not look graphically fabulous because that's not easy and requires teams of people making the art, but get the mechanics. If as a developer you need to be really familiar with the mechanics of how the different aspects of games work. So make a simple FPS, make a simple driving game, make a simple platformer, and get familiar with how these things work, the patterns that are involved, and then do the same thing with Unreal Engine 4 and C++. If you've got C++, unless the platform your studio you're going to uses Unity, if you haven't got C++, then you're immediately going to be on the back foot, and you're going to have to learn C++ to join that company potentially. So I would definitely, by the time you're ready to go out to the industry, I would have pretty strong C++ and pretty strong C#, Unity and Unreal Engine 4. If you've got all those, you should be fine. I know some of the candidates that I've seen for coming in and what they've got, and you'll be fine. So, given that I'm going to move a different parameter, and I don't like pass by reference because I think you can do that horrible thing now. I think I need to do a calculate x, calculate y, calculate z. Except it's calculate x, calculate z. So if this was calculate next x, current x, move by, and this returned an integer, then this would return, oh no, it's calculate next x. Yeah, okay, so if it's east, then I return current x. We don't modify it at all, don't need the break. If it's that, then it's return current x minus move by, because we do move it. If it's this one, we return current x because nothing happens. This doesn't feel 100% right, but I'm going to go with it. Return current x plus move by. Don't like the idea of having to do this calculation twice, essentially. This is what bugs me slightly about it, but let's see how we get on. And that will go into there, don't need to break. So that's calculate next x, and essentially I'm going to do the same thing again, but calculate next y. No, z, sorry. And in this case, it's, remind me, z minus at the top, z minus move by, and this is z plus move by, and all these just return current z, current z. So if we're moving in any of those directions, nothing happens. Good. Right, so that's that done. Now here, I want to current x equals calculate next x facing current x 4. Do that in all of these places. That does that. Now I also need to calculate the y. Sorry, the z. I keep making that mistake. In case z needs to move as well based on the face that we are doing. Except I don't track current z. Will one of those books for dummies do for me being a beginner? It's a good place to start, Chris. Yeah, they're good books to start with. So x minus 1 moves it to the left one. Not a stupid question at all, Chris. Not a stupid question at all. because the digit needs to start to the left one. This actually, the initialization needs to be based on where we start as well. So let me put all these calculate nexts in, and then we'll come and think about how it starts. So what I need to do is just set that to there and switch. Well, let's just copy this in. So this is basically saying if we're facing north, what we're doing is what we were doing before. So current x equals x minus 1. Break. If it's east, let's put break in there. Right, let's clean that up a bit. If it's east, then it's z minus 1. If it's west, then it's z plus 1. And if it's south, its current x is x plus 1. Right, that'll offset it 1 in from wherever we end up being. Oh, this has got so much potential to go horribly, horribly wrong. How much code have I just written and not tested one bit of it? Right, now we've got a broken class here because we need to pass in the face again. So render time needs to pass in the block face. Where do we get block face from? It needs to be passed in here. Tutors Master, I'm working on Bukkit Forge. And it's a Bukkit server plugin that's to do a visual clock, big clock thing. I'll be able to I'm going to run it in a minute, and we'll see if it works. It's not block face; it's facing. Right. So now I've got everything in here that I need. I now need to find out what broke because I added that in. That should be underscore facing. That's good. Right, now nothing will break because at this point the chain you lose the chain because it's a set. So I need to find out what call set for material by copying the call hierarchy. And this is where my abstract clock now needs to have protected Glock face facing, and I need to import that, and I need a public void set facing block face facing. That iClock needs to have the method as well. It needs the import. So it's made it into clock, which means now things like stopwatch clock now need to make sure they tell the time updater set facing underscore facing. So only where we did all this time updater nonsense, we now need to make sure we set it up completely. There's 2 in here. That adds them in. So now what sets it to the clock? So that's main. That's the thing that actually gets it. Hey there, Gaming Twist. Just made it and it's Friday. It certainly is Friday. Thank Crunchy, it's Friday. Clock does all of that stuff. Now I need to get the face. So this is the bit, the code, the abstract that was wrong when I got it out of the help thing. So here I want to do sign S. Sign is sign. Now I know it's a sign because this is a sign event. get block dot get state dot get data, and then I need to do clock dot set facing sign dot get facing. Boom. So that passes it to the clock passes it to the timers then render as they need to render. Right, let's give it a compile. We've got no red blobs down the side here, so we've got no errors. Just say, oh, it's got no compile errors. Built. That's not what I wanted to do at all. That's what I wanted to do. So we'll run it up and see what it does. So we're in-ish. Right. So these are the clocks. If you haven't seen them before, this is the idea. It can do all sorts of things. So first of all, let's make sure that what we had still works. So let's change the stone for pink, because pink rocks, and place that clock. Todd, don't care about those. Oh no, that doesn't work. That really doesn't work. So digit renderer.java line 40 blew up horribly. So let's stop that and have a quick look. What stupid mistake have I done? Matt, what should you do? HTML or Minecraft? I don't know. What do you need to do? You're back. Oh, welcome back, Dave. Welcome back. So digit renderer line 40. He go bang. Oh, data Y. Twit. Let's try that. Haddock, I'm making it so that it can go on all 4 compass coordinates. Which was supposedly the big job from last night that didn't get done, because those other 2 little jobs turned into big jobs. Right, let's connect. Clock, Todd. See, oh yeah, I told you that they would render upside down, didn't I? Forgot to go back and fix it. Oops. Right, it's okay. So we need to fix that, but otherwise than that, you know, oh, other than the things that are wrong, it's fine. Tutus Master, how old am I? 42, I don't know, something like that. I try not to think about it, if I'm honest. Right, so I need to fix the digits rendering upside down, but otherwise than that, that's actually going, that's not too bad. So let's stop the server. Right, so digit renderer, I am rendering the for loop. I need to go from data.length to data.length -1 to greater than equal to 0 dy minus. That should fix that. So instead of starting at the bottom and going up, we start at the top and go down. Is the sign an activator when you play in game? I'm not sure what you mean, Chris. I've got an event in the code which watches for signs being placed, and if you place one that matches a particular style, then it will activate based on that, if that's what you mean. Right, run it. Right, let's see if we get it round the right way this time. Clock, Todd. Hey, that's better. Right, so that's one's working. So now what happens, if I was to go, let's build ourselves up. Right, and then let's put stone and pink on that one, and then we'll put that, and we'll do clock, Todd, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Well, that didn't work, did it? Says I made a clock, ain't doing screw all. It's an error either, interestingly. Nope. Is it rendering it somewhere else? It isn't. It's just not rendering it. So apparently going in that coordinate range, it just doesn't do anything at all. Okay. Let's try rendering one this way round. So let's put some... that in there. And we'll put stone, green... oh, no. Green and... pink in there, and then we'll put a sign in there. That doesn't work either. Oh, we're off to a grand start here. Get rid of the original clock. Shouldn't make any difference. I can have as many clocks as I like. Well, it is to do with the orientation. The whole point of the bit of code I'm writing at the moment is to get the orientation, is to where you can put it at different orientations, but I've obviously got that code blown up at the moment. So, right, okay, so one rotation works, and two that I've tested don't, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to have a look at some code and find out what's going on. One thing we can do, by the way, is we've just proven that I don't need any of this stuff anymore, so I'm going to just clean these classes up, which makes these significantly more readable. Right, that's done all of those. So north works, others don't. We know that all works. Right, time to spam some logging in. So let's have a look at time up data. So render base is going to be wrong at the moment. That's something to bear in mind. I should pass facing into render base. And then in here, because at the moment this is very much a north facing render base. To add a default case. Right. Character says that doesn't work. Yeah, text adventure games. Awesome. These need facing as well. I'm just going to comment that code out for now before it does any damage. You make your bot, or is it a pre-built one? Which bot do you mean, Tutus Master? You mean the bot on the channel is Moobot. It's pre-built. It's a pretty standard one, to be honest. It doesn't help that current Z is never actually being used. That won't help matters at all. I'm not sure that's the only problem though, that's just one of many problems I suspect. Hi there, Flying Scotsman. Welcome! Right, let's just see what that does. If that doesn't help point us in the right direction, we'll just start spamming some logs in there. Well, I didn't know whether or not you're referring to the plugin I was writing, or whether, because I've also got a bot that I've written for interfacing Twitch chat with the train simulator I normally run, so that Twitch chat can drive it. I wrote that, but Moobot is standard moobot.com or something like that. Hey Super Stania, I had a fantastic day at the NRM, thank you. It was really good. Right. So, clock, Todd. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Right, so we need some debugging. I can't believe he's doing nothing. That just seems unlikely. Haddock, I don't have an OMR plan for this weekend yet. You'll have to wait, and I will. When I've spoken to Dad about it, then we can let everybody know. Did I see Sir Nigel in the works? Certainly did, Super Stania. Right opposite Evening Star. So I get the sign facing. So let's do getlogger.info, placing a clock in the sign.getFacing direction. Right, so that'll do that, and that is doing clock.setFacing. So in Todd clock, we're doing that, which starts the time updater. So time updater is running. So I'm going to do that. So leave the time updater displaying. Goes to time renderer. Render time. Bukkit.get logger.info rendering time. And then bukkit.get logger info. Calc next x for facing. And calculate next z for facing. I'm going to find I'm doing something utterly stupid here. This has got dumb written all over it. Right. Twitsy74, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. Right. Clock, Todd. Well, it's making a good making a good show of like it's doing something, but utterly failing to actually do anything. That means set block that digit render is digit render is possibly what's going wrong. Means nothing is rendering. Let me take some of the spam out of here because I know that that's working. Oh, you've got one of the rail motors superstanding. That's interesting. Have we tried sending a photograph of it over to VictoryWorks? Thanks for the host, Dave. Because VictoryWorks did the rail motor for Train Sim, and it may well be that Pete's got a bit of knowledge that might point you in the right direction until you can get to the NRM for a confirmation. So when we get to rendering a digit, I'm going to say bukkit.get log. Rendering, oh I don't know, rendering digit at x, y, z. So that will give me the digit, the coordinate it's rendering to. I've had a horrible suspicion this might be an unrelated quirk that I need to resolve. Alright, cheers, see you later, Stubby. See, Rogers, they had a flying banana, a Great Western flying banana, when I was there. So it's rendering all the digits at 179.75. Why are you rendering all the digits? Oh, it's Z. Okay. And Z is the bit that will actually change. So they are all 179.75, and the bit that would change isn't showing up. So what I'm wondering is... what we're looking at. The wrong thing. See, stuff is happening. Ah! I've just realised what the problem is. You remember when I said this would be a dumb problem? This is a dumb problem. This isn't going to work very well, because I've got 2 clocks running. No, let me restart. Specifically, what it is that when it's getting the blocks, it's not getting them in the right direction. So in here we do lock, and we do get it, and we get it based on Z plus 1, 2, and 3, and that needs to be done based on the I mistyped the logging. Yeah, I did. That's fine though. I'm not too worried. I got the message, what it was trying to say. So what I needed to do here is I want to get the 3x coordinates. So I need to do switch based on... I need to get that out earlier. I might as well set the facing while we're at it. Let's get block face facing equals sign or get facing. That way I don't have to do it again. And that's facing. And then this is switch on facing. Did I see the auto coach at the NRM? I don't think so. So switch, no. Case east, case north, south, west, default. You need to be imported. So this is the north direction. And I'll also make that the default in case it's not clear what the heck's going on. And in here, east is Z going down. I need to have a look in Minecraft. Let me make a copy of this. That doesn't copy the plugin over. I don't recall seeing an auto coach, Chris. Oh, that's a lovely picture, Dave. That's lovely. Straight out of the history. Straight out of the history books. So, in the instance that I am facing this way, I think is west. This is where Z goes up, which is west. In which case, X has to go up, not Z. And that's west not east. In this case, we're facing south. And in the case of south, X goes up. Yep. Which means that Z goes down. The last one then is east. So if we were facing this way, Z goes down, which is correct. X goes down. -1, -2, -3. So that gets me lock set up accordingly, and then I can pull out the blocks depending on which way we are going. Right. Digit renderer, I think I'm going to get rid of that bogus bit of logging. I did that wrong anyway. And install. We went to the Acton depot, London Underground depot beforehand on the Saturday. That was a really good trip too. Recommend a trip to the Acton depot if that's something you can get to. Right, let's try the new plugin. Right, so let's time set day. You can try that again, Super Stanya. Should work now. Get rid of those. Now, when we put clock Todd 123 123 in. Remember the backing isn't working. We still have to do the backing, but the clock is now rendering correctly. Now, if we come down here, I need to get rid of some spam in the log. I should be able to do another clock. Oh, we've got the rest of it. I do. Clock, Todd, GGGGGG. That's done a clock that way round. And the next one to try is a clock this way round. So let's make up that and put that in there. No. No. Press the right buttons, thank you. It's important which button you press. And that's that one working. So we now place the clocks in all 4 directions, which is good. So I need to get the backings in place now. And then we're just about done on that job. Clear off some log spam. So let's source edit. I'm used to Control-Shift-F and which Visual Studio is finding all files. So digit renderer needs saving. Don't think I've got anything in here doing anything unpleasant. Time renderer. So clear needs fixing, render base needs fixing. That's the one that's log spamming. Get rid of that done as well. Good. Oh dear, right. When I come into time renderer, render base is what I need to do. So let's put that in there. So in the case of north, Y is never going to change. And we're going left on X. So let's do south first, because that's the most like this one. Because in this case, we are going to... So while draw X is greater than X minus 21, I'm going to say greater is less than X plus 21. Go up 1. Less than X plus 21, go up 1. So that should do facing south. Now west, Z goes up. Cheers Chris, thanks for stopping by. So in this one, instead of drawing based on X, it's the Z that changes. And this is west, which is Z goes up. The other thing is south, this should be Z minus 1, not Z plus 1. So we're doing west at the moment, Z goes up. Rather than retyping that in, I'll put that in there. That's X, that's draw Z. And this is going to be... so I'm going to get these the wrong way around. Oh, it doesn't matter. If we get them the wrong way around, we get them the wrong way around. So when I'm going up, I've got Z minus 1. So let's do X minus 1 in that one. And then for east, we are going to be less than, no, greater than Z minus 21. Minus minus. Got a sign wrong on the other one. And that should be plus 1. So that's east done. This one is less than that. Right, let's see what that does. Right, so I've got that wrong way round. So that was... should probably print out which one. Well, if I know that that is south, this is east. So east is the wrong way round. Let's fix that. East is X minus 1. West should be X plus 1. Anyway, so that's east and west. Let's test south and see where the south works, which is this one. Oops, south works. Good, so let's double check north still works. Clean this up so that we've got a fair test. Remember, clear has been disabled at the moment because it doesn't actually work properly right now. Mad clicking. Nearly there. Right. Clock. Todd. JJ. And it looks like north is still working correct. So north and south work okay. East and west, we'll give them a try in just a moment. Come on, let me in. Stop arguing. Right, so let's try west. Those aren't the colours I was expecting. I don't think that's quite worked correctly. Because that's used the last one, which should be the air gap. Oh no, that is right, isn't it? Digits in grey, pink for the background, air gap is that one. So if I was to do that, well, that wouldn't help me right now because that's all there. That one we already know is working. So all I need to do then is test this. Get rid of the bogus cover it's got over the top of it at the moment. And now we can see it's working. Excellent. Well, that's rather good. See you later, fine Scotsman. Good. So the clocks now work in each of the different directions. So that was a major refactor of the code, which makes it enormously more flexible. So that's 2 jobs done today. I think I'm going to call it a night there actually. It's 11 o'clock. Persistence is the next thing to do. Should we do... No, let's not do persistence. I'll do that another night. Persistence, deleting them, permissions, and so forth. We've got much smaller jobs to do now, so this is good. I'm hoping then that we can get this one finished. Monday night we'll do a stream which hopefully will get some of these last new few jobs done, and it's Minecraft time. It's the time in the Minecraft world, Dave, which is why the minutes are going up a lot faster. Right. Excellent. Okay, folks, I'm going to call it a night for that, and I'll do another one on Monday, and we'll try and get this thing actually finished. I think with 4 more core jobs that need to be done, which none of which look particularly hard at the moment, and then we'll be in a position to get it deployed. Right then, folks, thanks very much for watching. Hope that was entertaining and or useful, and I will see you for the next coding stream on Monday. Hopefully midway next week we'll be back on to Train Sim Live again with spanking new machine. Alright then, folks, thanks a lot, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.